Welcome to Sailing Yacht Frida of Visby. We left our hectic business life to go sailing with Frida of Visby and our cat Litsa. Our goal for the spring 2021 is to reach the Mediterranean Sea. In our final episode in our 2020 season, we reached Dieppe in Normandy in France. We decided to stay there over winter to let Anders back heal properly, and we also went back to Sweden for about 2 months. In the previous videos in this season, we visited the Vauquis shipyard and we took a closer look at the electrical system on Frida of Visby. In this episode, we will take a closer look at the town. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, all museums are closed, but we had to rent a car to go to the Vauquis yard. So we decided to keep it a couple of days more and drive to Fécamp, Le Havre and one of the D-Day beaches, Omaha Beach. So we will show you a little bit of that. Please turn on the English text because this is partly in Swedish. Got out of the gate from the marina. I like the old buildings. This is from when we first arrived in Dieppe, and this is the marina from the marina office. Unfortunately, the guest pontoon is, I would say, furthest away from the office building, which is maybe not so smart. But when we first arrived, the cafes were still open, so we took a coffee, and we also managed to squeeze in 1 or 2 restaurant visits before the lockdown. Now it's low tide and we have 2.4 meters waters here, and earlier today there was 11.2, I think it was when I looked. So super low, from super high to super low. Dieppe is famous for its street market that it has each Saturday. So we decided to go up and have a look, and it was really fun because it's all over the place and they sell everything from carved statues to clothes to food, fresh fish and vegetables and, well, lots of different things. We decided to buy some fish. This is filmed before the strict lockdown that was later implemented in France. The market was much more limited after that. Sådär, nu har Anders och jag varit på marknad och köpt bland annat vindruvor och clementiner, och så har vi köpt citroner och rödspätta har vi köpt också som vi ska ha ikväll. Och du hade provsmakat vindruvorna?
De var grymma. De var riktigt saftiga och stora. Klart annorlunda.
De var goda. De var inte helt billiga, men de var väldigt goda. Och det var marknad. Vi trodde först att det bara var de här stånden borta vid Parishjulet, men det var någon typ av bokmässa. Men däremot uppe i stan, längs med hela gågatan och torget som ligger här bakom, där var det marknadsstånd överallt. Det mesta med vanlig krimskrams, men lite coola grejer, och de håller på att öppna bro.
Jag ser inte det.
Jo, där ser du att den håller på att slida åt sidan. The swing bridge is called Point Colbert, and when it was built in 1888, in only 4 months, it was the longest swing bridge. It's over 70 meters long, and it connected Dieppe with Pullet, which was an area where the fishermen and sailors lived in the old days. Man ska väl inte bro för den lille. Det kommer en gummibåt. Måste komma något större också. Världen tillbaka igen. Vad var det då?
En gummibåt.
Det var ett par tre gummibåtar och någon liten fiskebåtmodell, de som ligger här. Han borde ju nästan ha kunnat gå under, tycker man. As you can see, is the beach in Dieppe, very stony, so it's a stone beach, but in the other end near the hill you have some sand, as you can see here. I'm not quite sure what it is the locals are collecting, but I think it's the snails that you can buy on the market. On the hillside there is some cool caves, but be aware there's 10 meters tidal difference, so don't get caught there. This is so cool. August 19, 1942, 6,000 Canadian troops stormed the beaches of Dieppe in what was said a decoy operation to steal the German Enigma machine. But it was a steep rise because 4,963 of them died. Dags att få i land cyklarna. Vi har tittat över dem med fallet och Anders har tagit upp dem med påsarna. Men vi saknar ett lås, så jag ska gå och se om jag kan hitta det. Så har vi fått upp cyklarna på land. Här räknar vi med att de kan stå tryggt. Men ja, kanten är inte så hög när det är riktigt högt vatten. Men they were safe from the tide, but not from thieves. So one of them got stolen. This is a little thing that makes life a little bit easier. It's a baiting stair to hang on small boats, but we hang it on side to make it easier to get up and down. Anyway. It's very busy, so keep an eye on yellow seagulls. Stora fåglar. De är jättestora. This is the church that is such a landmark when you are going into Port of Dieppe. It's on the Pollet side, and it's quite beautiful with this tile ornament as well, and some beautiful stained glass. Here you can see the entire entrance to Dieppe, so you have the full view from the church over the whole town and the port. There you can see Frida Visby. And all along the quay there is fish restaurants. but unfortunately we're closed due to lockdown. Here's some example of the old fisherman houses on the Pollard side.
On my way down, back to there.
They actually collected flintstone from the beach and mixed it to save bricks. Here is another example where you can see the flintstone on the brick. When we were in Dieppe, there was a lot of dredging activity to dredge the harbor, and also fishing vessels come in at night to unload their catch. So be prepared that it can be a bit noisy.
Kan du hjälpa mig va, Lisa? Kan du hjälpa mig att sticka?
This is one of the few restaurants visits that we managed to do before the lockdown.
Really good.
Yeah.
It tastes like fresh apples. Maybe let the lobsters live a little longer. Scallops. And Anders has Syrian beef
Steak. Yeah.
or steak.
Really good.
Really good. Time to fry scallops with cream and mushroom. I have now been here at a very much smaller market, bought some fish here in Dieppe. Fresh fish and some snails.
After almost 3 weeks and quite strict lockdown, we were only allowed to go out 1 hour a day and only 2 kilometers from the boat. We decided to cheer us up with some Christmas decorations.
10-meter light rope. I think we can have light all around the boat.
Ah, Christmas feeling. Well, I think it looks pretty. And we were not alone. Dieppe City has also decorated the trees. But with the strict lockdown in France, we decided that we wanted to fly back to Sweden and also celebrate Christmas there. And as parents visited us at the local airport in Visby. And they have been kind enough to drive there in 2 cars and bought some groceries for us. So we could go straight home into self-isolation. And the first thing they asked about is, where is Litsa? And normally when we travel, I have her in a special backpack, which is allowed to carry on at the airplanes.
Helt slut. Ja.
After being on the boat for such a long time, it was actually great to be home and be able to walk in the forest, and we also celebrate Christmas with Anna's parents. And New Year's Eve we spent by the fireplace, but we did see some fireworks that the neighbors had. But after 2 months at home, we felt that it was time to get back to the boat. But traveling in a pandemic is a logistic challenge.
Don't forget me. I know we are not flying until tomorrow, but I'm laying here because I want to go to the boat too. I think that's what Litsa is saying. Where are we going?
Now we're going to the airport to get to Stockholm so we can catch a flight to our boat.
Yes.
Hopefully it's a little less snow down in France than it's here. It's like 6 degrees below zero here.
Almost a half meter snow and very icy road. It's with a bit of knot in the stomach. We fly from our snowy little island and set course to Stockholm because we have not yet got the result from our PCR test. And that was the only way we could manage to get to Paris within the 72 hours that is a requirement from France. But it was negative, so yippee, here we come.
Ja.
Back to the boat! There she is! Waiting for us. We are on board. So let's just see if Anders can find the key.
Well, just started. It's open.
So, yes, we are back. Finally. After 2 months.
Okay, warm in here. Starting at home.
It smells okay.
Yeah.
That looks a little bit strange.
What has happened here? Or did you leave it like that?
No, we didn't. We must have healed. Yeah, looks okay. Bathroom looks. That's a little bit heating. The dehumidifier so that it can let the water drain out. How does it look?
Perfect.
Yeah.
No water in the bilge, which is what we want.
Exactly what you want. Back on the boat.
We quickly got settled in and Lisa made sure she had the front seat when we were watching America's Cup. We tried to keep the good habit of walking, and here we are on the outer pier in Dieppe watching some of the locals fishing. But we do think that the catch looks a little small to eat. But look how the current make a line in the water. Lisa enjoyed being back on the boat, and she of course had to tell the seagulls that the captain is back. We also made some boat projects. Here we are installing some outlets, a USB outlet and a 12-volt outlet in the cockpit table, so that we can charge our tablets where we have AS info, etc. while we are on the way.
Då kör vi då.
We have rented a car for a couple of days. We need to buy some building materials because we need to build some more storage space, which I will show you in another episode. And we also needed the car to drive to the Woki shipyard, as we has already shown you.
They could not help us to cut the big sheets that we have bought. So Anders brought his own tools and we bought some to put it on. So we are standing here on the parking lot to cut the sheets in minor pieces that we can get into the car so we can get it to the boat. Now we are on our way for an excursion. We are going to drive first to Fécamp and then to Le Havre, and then further on via Honfleur to Omaha Beach and the memorial center that is there, to have a look at that. And then we're going to turn back to Dieppe because we have to be back before 6 o'clock tonight. This is the famous Fécamp, where there can be some really tricky waves to get in. Looks very calm today, though. Let's see what happens with this motorboat when it comes out. Try to keep as far away from this side where the current swirls is worse. Seems like he knew what he was doing.
We have actually been warned not to enter this harbor due to it can have very tricky conditions.
But nevertheless, it's a bit of a rocky ride out.
Time for next stop. Back on the road again. Today it's peaceful to walk here at the memorial site, but the Allied intelligence had revealed that Le Havre and Cherbourg were heavily guarded, but that there was a gap in between which made it possible to reach the D-Day beaches. To get detailed information about how it looked, they actually looked at the postcards from before the war of the North France coast. From the French resistance, they got the intelligence information of where the fences were and what kind of obstacles that would block the way. The plan was to first bomb to knock out the defenses and then storm the beaches. But here at Omaha Beach, the bombing failed and the soldiers were pretty much left to themselves. And once they passed the beaches, they had to climb those hills that was guarded with fully operational artillery. It must have been absolutely terrible. Over 3,000 men died here on June 6, 1944, most of them within the first couple of hours. It was really moving to see all those crosses. I couldn't help it but get a tear in my eye.
The American cemetery at Omaha Beach.
After the visit at the memorial site, we decided to stop at the Overlord Museum despite it was closed.
I think they were originally made to shoot down airplanes, but with the right ammunition they were dangerous to tank to.
Here you can see examples of some of the obstacles placed on the beach and in the water, by the way, and a typical bunker. This is a temporary bridge that the engineering troops were carrying with them to be able to drive tanks across rivers, etc. This one actually has no roof, so you stand outside and fight. This one is much better protected. Anders is showing where they actually could attach extra shields to protect the people inside. It was time for us to turn back in order to be able to be home before 6, and we had some celebrations to do. So when we got back to the boat, we opened a bottle of champagne to celebrate my 50th birthday. Got the big seafood plate that I wished for had to wait to another day. The next morning, we were supposed to go up early and drive to the Waukee shipyard, but it was very low tide and I encountered an early morning problem. When I got back from the shower, the ramp was extremely steep and icy. Now you are up to speed with what we have been doing since October, and if you like this episode, please give us the thumbs up.